And one. Hey, everybody, what's going on? We're back. We're live. We're here for another month of the closing table. It doesn't matter who I am. I'm me. I'm Bay Ragni. But the guy next to me, let's go this way. I always do the wrong side.
Episode 5.
Episode 5. The man, the myth, the legend himself from NextHome Brandywine, Mr. Dan Pizzi.
Guess what? We do have a guest this week and pretty much guaranteed to be on the show.
How about that?
So we had a little hiccup last month, but we're back again, episode 5. Thank you, Bay. If you haven't listened, we were just talking about some of Bay's recent guests on his show, on the Bay Ragni show, Matthew Barnaby. I have my Flyers hat on tonight. Former pain in the neck hockey player for the Buffalo Sabres, correct? Probably amongst a couple other teams.
Bunch of other teams. Hey, Dan, you know what, too? And I asked him the thing that I wanted to ask him last night, and we talked about it. You'll have to go back and watch it, but he almost was very close to becoming a Flyer.
They would have loved him here. I mean,
Yeah.
They would have loved. In fact, we need him right now, actually, because they have very limited toughness on this team. But yeah, Bay has some great guests lately. Check out the network, Bay Ragni show. Really good stuff, and we appreciate him co-hosting on a monthly basis for us. Couple of real estate points. We'll bring our guest on. Our guest this month is a friend of both Bay and I's, Frank Naimoli. Frank is also known as Chris Kringle in our area, and he is, and along with Bay, former owner of Liberty All-Star Wrestling, which I'm involved with as a ring announcer, and we do a lot of charity events. So that'll tie in. You know, we talk about this every month. Well, what's the difference? How do you differentiate yourself? In Philadelphia, we're a bit curmudgeon-y, and we don't buy into a lot of things unless it's factual. Our company hashtag is humans over houses, and we truly believe that the individual comes first in the transaction, and I'll speak for myself. We act like it's our own transaction, and we care about you and your end goal every step of the way. And we try to bring on guests that embody that, have some of those same characteristics as we like to portray and act upon at NextHome Brandywine. So what's going on? Still a uneven market, we'll say. The last few weeks have been a bit slower. It's been a little bit less chaotic, Bay, because I think we have a lot of college acceptances. We had the school break for people. Religious people had their Easter holiday. So little bit of a less frantic pace, which in a way, it's a good thing we get to regroup. So just a little bit of information. I want to also welcome, before I forget, Christina Middleton has joined us. Highly skilled professional. I do really think she's going to be excellent in the real estate business. She came out of the financial institution. She's a communications manager at a big company regionally, and she is joining us. I will be meeting with her on Friday, and she will be joining us at NextHome Brandywine. You can check her out at nexthome.com. You can punch in her name and nexthomebrandywine.com and check out her bio. So Christina will be joining us. Couple of listings here coming up. I love when people put stuff on. Everybody's a hair slow because the inventory is not quite there, and it's been that way. But everybody has to posture like they have a whole bunch of stuff going on. But we do as well. We're here. We're not posting it every second. Number 4, Hall Hill Road in Modena. Lisa Last, NextHome Brandywine. We'll be listing that property coming up. It's on 3 acres. It is a rural setting in Modena, which is in the Coatesville area. And I have one right close to where I went to high school, 55 East Stewart Avenue in Lansdowne. A big old twin in Lansdowne, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, needs a rehab. But a larger family or multifamily right off of Stewart Avenue in the heart of Lansdowne. And Ann Maroney will be having one in Thorndale coming up, Downingtown zip code, Coatesville School District. That is coming up. So stay tuned. Listings are coming on the market. Visit us at nexthomebrandywine.com. Find an agent. We got agents as diversified as you can get at nexthomebrandywine.com. Let's get into interest rates here. I just looked them up before we came on the air. 30-year fixed is ranging from about 5.27 to about 5.50, and the 15 years about 4.5 right now. Bo DeForge, Loan Depot. Check him out, Bo DeForge, DeForge at Loan Depot. He can help you out if you're looking for information regarding a mortgage. You can talk to Bo. And for home inspections, Ernie Homer at Homer Inspection Services out of Downingtown. Let's just hit on one more point here. We'll bring in Frank Naimoli to join us. So I learned something. You learn something. I've been doing this 17 years, and you always learn, right? So appraisals are coming in short. Not every instance, nothing's an exact science, but I'm noticing appraisals are coming in short. So we had one coming in about 15,000 short, 350 buy, came in at a 335. So we had some dialogue with the mortgage rep and the appraiser. And what was happening is the values were going up every week, and the appraiser can only use for final comps stuff that's sold. So if a house went for 330 last week, 340 this week, 350 next week, you're going to see if you book the deal next week, you're going to get a higher offer accepted potentially, but the appraisals are coming in short because the appraisers can only use already closed comps. So be careful. I do not suggest you waive your appraisal. Talk to your realtor, talk to your mortgage professional with the ramifications on that. I don't like it personally. If I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't ask my client to do it. We talk about this all the time. I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't feel comfortable with somebody doing it. It may work in certain instances, but talk to your professional about that because they are coming in short. One last thing, you can be creative, right? So you say, how do I differentiate my offer from the next offer? You can pay the transfer tax. So it's a way, if appraisals are coming in short, how can you offer the seller a higher price point without it being baked into the sale price and potentially having an appraisal shortfall? You could say, I'll pay the transfer tax. And if you're in the city of Philadelphia, it's 2.140 per side. So it's 4.280. So it is a lot of money, but if you don't want to raise the price because you're afraid of a low appraisal, you can consider, if it makes sense in your transaction, you can consider paying the transfer tax. Like any industry, experience matters, or at least having somebody experienced that's helping you through if you're a newer agent. Call a professional realtor right now. You need their savvy. You need their experience in this market. We can help you get to your end goal. It is a challenge, but that's why you pay a realtor. If you're on the buyer's side right now, you don't pay your realtor in most instances. The seller side pays your realtor. So get a professional realtor. Make sure they match personality-wise and you're comfortable with them. 17 years for me. Like I said, my family owned a Century 21. I'm well diversified. You can find me as well on NextHomeBrandywine.com or anybody on our team. So that's the real estate news for this month. We can get you in a house. Inventory is coming on the market. We are still in early spring market. So we can get you in a house and you can get to your end goal. So don't be frustrated. Stay patient and call a professional realtor. And if you want our team, again, nexthomebrandyWine.com, and we can help you. All right, Bay. So this is going to be interesting. So Frank got bumped last month. So we bumped him last month. So he said to me when I originally asked him to come on the program, I said, he said, what do I get for coming on a program? I said, I'll give you $1 and a trip to Dino's Pizza in Briarcliff, which we all love. So he said, since I got bumped, what do I get? So I said, now you get $2 and 2 trips to Dino's Pizza in Briarcliff. So
that's well worth it.
See that? And he gets to be with me and you, two of his good old friends from the old neighborhood. Santa is in his chair. Santa has joined the program. You with us there, Frank?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the perks of being Santa is I have a throne in my basement.
Those headphones look a little small on your big head there, Frank.
Well, it's going to get bigger by the end of this interview.
Uh, let's start off by thanking you for coming on. Like everybody, I do appreciate it. And you know, we talked about at the beginning of the program how you embody what we my company looks for in people. And you know, we've been friends for quite a while now. I know you've been friends with Bay a long time. And just a quick introduction. So Frank and Bay were the original owners of Liberty All-Star Wrestling. Frank and I kind of reprised the Federation. I don't know, Frank, what is it, 8 or 9 years, believe it or not, now at this point.
2015.
Is that what it was? So we're 7 years in when we reprised it. And then Frank is also Philadelphia's Kris Kringle, and we'll get in some talk about
Santa Kringle.
Santa Kringle.
There we go. Correct us. Get us right, Frank. So thanks for coming on the program. All right, Bay, where do you want to start this off at? How do we want to lead Frank down the path here for our interview this month?
Wow. So, you know what? Like, I want to know, like, we usually end up talking wrestling with people each month.
Which
But I think I want to, like, I've known Frank 30 years, okay? And I've known Frank before we got in the wrestling business. Frank was very responsible for me finding the way for us to get into the wrestling business. We as we went into it together, and so I personally, I know the world of Frank. I know the world of Frank's love for pro wrestling. But I think the true, real story here is because as I seen him go through many different gimmicks in the world of pro wrestling, which he did great at, and he was always able to be a character and transform into different characters. There's nobody on this earth that I feel he is better than being. I think he's better at being Santa Kringle and Santa Claus than he is Frank Naimoli. And I think that's where the true lesson and history of Frank lies. And to know, like, what brought this upon him to become, because in my opinion, and I've said this to him since day one, when he took this on, he's truly blown me away, and I can't believe it's him, and he really has become, in my eyes, he is the true Santa Claus.
So take us back, Frank, at the very beginning when you had an inkling to take that enormous responsibility on.
Well, actually, I never really thought about it, and what had happened was it was the quick story is one Christmas Eve, I was over at my father's house, and my father had remarried, and they had his wife's grandchildren coming over, and they said, "Hey, we got a Santa Claus suit. Could you just jump into it real quick and be Santa for the kids?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." I did it. It ended very quickly, and then a friend of mine, Mike Grandizio, which is Dan's cousin. He was
Wait.
telling.
I didn't even know that. So there's all these little connections to Dan that I have no idea of.
Yeah. So, he was telling me his wife was a therapist at special needs school, Don Guanella, and they didn't have a Santa. And I said, that's a shame. I felt bad. I said, let me see what I could do. So I went on eBay, bought a suit for about, I think it was $150. And I went there and played Santa. I still wasn't feeling it yet. And so I went through the school with all the children. The first time I did it, I was horrible. I think instead of ho, 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 I said yo, yo, yo. But what happened afterwards, I think, is what started the ball rolling. Jump forward about a week, 2 weeks. Mike calls me up and says, "Hey, I got some thank you letters from the children." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I went and looked, and the joy and the effort they put into these letters to just thank Santa for coming, it touched me right here. And then the next thing I know is I'm like reading through these and stuff from the teachers on how, it really made the Children's Day and thank me. So I kept going back there for a few years, and it also started another tradition, which a lot of people don't know about. I have kept every single letter that I've been given in the last 20 years.
Wow.
I have I have tins. You know, the popcorn and the cookie tins?
Yeah.
Like, I have about 20 of them filled with letters. Now, some I never open. The reason for that is if I'm ever feeling like down or, just life gets to you, I'll go into one of the open ones and just start reading the letters that I've never read before.
Wow.
And I probably got right now, I would say easily 10 to 20,000 letters. And, I've never, I don't care if it's a scribbled line, I keep it. And the more I did it and the more I gave back, the more I got back.
Mm.
And, I did all that. And then in 2010 is when it really took a turn for me, because 2010 was when my mom passed away. And I up until that point I had a designer beard, or a fake beard, whatever you want to call it. And I just didn't feel like being a part of the world at that point. So my beard was growing. My niece, who was a model, says, "Let me dye your beard white." And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "No." She did. It was the most painful thing, and I do it every year. Well, now it's starting to go on naturally. Stress and work will do that for you. When the beard became natural, I would walk out in public and people, at the holidays, I always try to keep an upbeat attitude because my mom loved the holidays and she passed that on to me. And people be like, but when they see the white beard and you're, "Hey, how you doing?" The big smile, people were just opening up and lighting up. And I was like, you know what? I don't ever want to stop doing this. I'd love to do this till I can't, till I'm 6 feet under. And the more I gave back, like I said, the more it came back to me. So, I never thought I would be, Santa, but the next thing I know is, "Hey, come ride the fire engine down the middle of South Street." Oh, well, every grown man's dream is to ride a fire engine. So I was like, "Yeah." And then the next thing I know is I am visiting hospitals, seeing children, just each year, tens of thousands of children. So that's, and I'm hooked. I am absolutely hooked. So that's kind of where it all started.
And I know you were on QVC as their resident Santa Kringle on QVC, which is really cool in its own right, and it, that's how much people respect what you do for you to be on that network.
Well, as of now, I've done 10 commercials for different companies. I do a ton of videos for overseas in Europe. For some reason, in the last 3 years, I've become very popular in the UK, Ireland, and now in Korea, South Korea. I did calls and a few internet commercials for them. So and that's a trip, because I'll be getting up at like the crack of dawn to talk to somebody in Korea, and they're like, it's night there, and they're all happy. But one thing I learned is that Santa is just so loved throughout the world, and you could do so much good with it. And that's the next evolution in what I'm doing is I'm trying to give back. Each year, I collect toys. I donate some of my visits to charities. This year, I started the Secret Santa Shopper, which, again, if you guys want to hear about it,
yes,
it was something that started by accident. I did a Santa Claus appearance for the police in Williamstown, New Jersey, and they were handing out little gift baskets to all the children, and the gift baskets had a $10 Walmart card in them. Well, as I was leaving, they handed me one of the baskets, said, "Here, take it, have a good." I was like, "Oh," and they said, "Oh, and there's a $10 Walmart gift card." I said, "You know what?" I was like, "Yeah, let me I'll give it to somebody." And they looked at me and said, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, it's a gift card, because I do meet people at Christmas who may not have money, who may not, be able to buy their kids something. So, I was like, "Yeah." So the next thing I know is he goes, "Well, here, take the rest of them then that they had left over," which was about 15 cards, so it's $150. I didn't know really what to do with them. So on December 23rd, I was actually walking through the local Walmart shopping, and I saw an old buddy of mine who Bay knows, Ed from the Frame Shop.
Oh yeah.
And he's a very sweet guy. He was buying some food. He takes care of a lot of cats and stuff. And I was like, "You know what, Ed, here's a couple gift cards, buddy." He just gives me a big hug. "Thank you, man. You didn't have to do that." I was like, "It's Christmas." And then I'm like, "You know what?" I just started walking around Walmart just handing people gift cards. And they're looking at me like, "Why?" I was like, "Because it's Christmas." And so one of the employees come up and go, "Are you really handing out gift cards?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Why?" I was like, "Because I want to." It was just so infectious. I mean, it's 2 days before Christmas, and even though they were just $10, people thought you would have thought I was giving them a gold bar. So this year I've decided that I'm going to I put aside a couple visits, and I'm just going to buy gift cards and just walk around at a store. And again, I don't want to mention it because I'm not doing it. You guys are the first ones I've told about. Well, except Ed knew about it. And I just want to give something to people, because you know what? It can make someone's day so much by just helping them out. An unexpected gift, especially at the holidays. Come on, what's better than that?
That's tremendous. And what we'll do, Frank, me and you will catch up, and I'll make sure we donate to that project that you're working on, and
Oh, wonderful! Thank you very much.
Yeah, add to that pot. This is what we talk about, right? We talk about the humans over houses, and that's why we wanted to bring Frank on. And just in the short time he's been on, you hear in his voice and his story and some of the words that he's used how much that he cares about other people, and it gives him joy to do that. And we know that's Frank with a huge heart, and that's why we wanted to have him on this month, and kind of a tell us your story segment. And as you see at the beginning of this interview, what a tremendous thing it is to have Frank on this month.
I'll tell you what, Dan, I've been saying to Frank since day one, since he took over this role as Santa, that and I think he is the one person to do this. He needs to figure a way to make it Christmas all year round.
I'm trying.
What about the basement, Frank? Right, we never take the tree down, correct? So it is Christmas all year round.
We transferred. We have a Christmas room now, because the basement has become Kringle Land Studios, where I film a lot of my TikToks, which my TikToks are aimed at children, teens, adults. It is messages of positivity, and the big word of Christmas is believe. And I keep telling, I want the children, the adults, the teens, believe in yourself. That's the gift. That's the gift that I want everyone to do. So I try to keep the TikTok very positive, very happy for the children. I don't do it as much as I want, because one thing I believe in is keeping the magic of Christmas alive. So I think if you see Santa a little too much, it kind of, because one of my favorite things at Christmas time is going around and then people looking and wondering, and then children will sometimes follow me around stores, and I hear them whispering, and I'll grab my cell phone and I'll be like, "Yes, Rudolph, we need 4 more of those." And then you'll just hear them. "Oh, I knew." And then what I have is little business cards from the movie The Santa Claus. And all they say on them is Santa Claus, North Pole. And on the back, it says, "If something should happen to me, put on the suit. The reindeer will know what to do." It's the exact replica. It has no information, no phone numbers. It's nothing for promotion. I will drop them as I'm walking around stores just for people to pick up.
That's
And the look on people's faces, it is just amazing because they're like looking at it, and it has no information. It's nothing. To me, it's not about selling. It's not about how many visits I can get. It's about how many people I can touch. So I'll take a visit making absolutely no money that has 10,000 kids over going to the Philadelphia Eagles game and performing there.
Tell us about some of those special visits. I know you do South Street with the tree lighting. You've done that. I know you've done some big visits and some not big in the fact that
I am the official Santa of South Street and Jenkintown, JTP. I have been at both of them for 12 years.
Wow.
And they literally once their tree lighting ends, they give me the date for the next year because they don't want to lose me. And I was like, you know what, you'll never lose me, because I love seeing all the children. Like literally, Jenkintown, the whole town shows up for the event, and the joy and it's a lot of hugs. So that's that to me is worth more than any money we can.
Tell us how that changed with COVID, Frank. The adjustments you had to make during that time, because you lose some of that personal connection.
Well, you did. Now South Street got a little creative, and they put me behind
I saw it.
A big plastic tarp, and my niece, who's my elf, she took what some people said, and I didn't think this, but is an iconic picture of a child walking up and putting his hand on the tarp, and me putting my hand down and just connecting with them. And literally, one person from a newspaper said that summed up the whole COVID in a nutshell when it was in the middle of the pandemic. And it was funny too because I've had a couple magazines want to buy the rights from me to use it. And again, this shows you why I'm a horrible businessman. I'm like, no, just use it. You're gonna put me in a magazine. To me, that's fun. I don't care,
Right, getting the word out and kind of spreading that joy is it goes twofold. It helps, and it helps get the message out.
Yeah, definitely, because that's what it's about. I mean, it's such a rewarding calling. And one of the things I'm also doing now is I am mentoring and training new Santas. We've had a couple classes, and of course on the side I've started probably now at last count about 10 Santas on their journeys. And
we've talked in the past, Frank, where you said there was actually a shortage of
quality.
People. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, the first question I ask when someone asked if I can help them, train them, mentor them is, well, how much money do you think you're going to make? And if they start discussing money, I was like, I'm not the right person for you. You can go to one of the schools that you can pay for, but because to me, there's something in here, and that's what you need. I have a saying: anyone can buy the red suit, but not everyone can wear the red suit.
It bleeds over into so many other industries. If you come at it from the right perspective and you do it for the right reasons, then other things will come from that. And you epitomize that.
Well, and you got to have. So a subject that I don't bring up too much, but one of the toughest things I do is I do visit hospitals, and there's one hospital in Cherry Hill that I visit every year. And a lot of the children have cerebral palsy and other diseases. I visit those children knowing that next year I may not see them again. And it breaks your heart, but you gotta you know, I say it's the hardest thing. I visited people that I know um, will not be around after Christmas,
Mhm.
and I can't I can't get upset. I have to keep because people are relying on me to keep up. And literally, I've had visits where I've visited someone, a child, an adult, and then going out to the sleigh and just cried my eyes out because they wanted me to bring them joy, and I love doing it, and but it is so hard. And I always think that if the wrong person's doing that, it just makes a tough situation tough. So that's why I want to put the best people out there, and that's why when I go and visit, I do everything I can to make each visit. I want your children to remember when they're older and they have grandchildren. Say, oh, I remember when I visited this center because after I'm long gone, there's my pictures are going to be hanging on your walls. I mean, I visited Bay's family, and I know some of the relatives that I visit are no longer with us, but that picture remains, and it's
Mhm.
to me, it's such a testament to people. Like one of the biggest honors in my life is always when someone brings their child up to me for their first Santa Claus picture, and I always make sure to thank the parents and tell them how much of an honor it is for me that you're trusting me with your precious memory. Because one thing I always regretted was I didn't get a lot of pictures of myself and my mother.
Mhm.
So now I take a ton of pictures, and I tell, like, I'll be at an event and one of the fathers a lot of times be like, oh, I don't want to get in on the picture, and then I pull him to the side, like you know, a fatherly Santa would do, and I said, listen, young fella, let me tell you a little something. The only picture you're going to regret in your life is the one you did not take.
Mhm.
And he looks, he smiles, and he gets in the picture. If not, I put him in a headlock and then drag him in.
I'll
If
tell
you
you.
go ahead,
I
Bay.
was
Sorry.
gonna say, I'll tell you what. Like when Frank early on, when Frank really started a few years into this, and things were really getting very busy for him. He pulled me aside. He's like, "Look," he said, "would you want to do this with me?" He goes, I'm getting really busy, and I need somebody else that can maybe partner with me and be a Santa Claus." And after seeing what he does, I said, Frank, I can't do that. I
Right.
can't. I can't do what you do because he really. I'm telling you,
It's
he
not
is.
for everybody, right? So
It's
every
not.
industry,
Yeah.
everything's not for
Yeah.
everybody. You have to have special talents.
Hmm.
And I tell people that not everything people do is for everybody. Oh, I can
Right.
do that. I can do that. But you see where Frank comes at it from what perspective he comes
Mhm.
at it. That's why he's so successful at it.
Yeah.
Well, I truly believe that if you love something, people know that and people
Yes.
see that. And
Hmm.
I do. I am, I used to be a professional wrestler, and believe it or not, that prepared me for this more than anything because, I'm a quick thinker. I tell a lot of stories, and half of them are true. And the children, I have had just people gather around, and I'll be doing a story off the top of my head and on the fly, and people just are looking. And I literally have had women come up to me and go, you know what? If I don't, if I truly believed, I'd have to believe it's you. Now, something that's happened in the last few years that I think is one of the greatest honors that I can be bestowed upon is that I have other gentlemen who I highly respect in the Santa Claus industry ask me to come to their house for their children. I mean, that's the equivalent of like, a great author saying, "Hey, can you write something for me?" It's to me, it is an unbelievable honor, and uh, once that happened, I said, you know what? I stopped doubting that I was. I knew I was right where I needed to be.
Tell us how people, Frank. I don't know if you are taken. I know how busy your schedule is, but if people want to contact you, do you have contact information as far as that?
Yes, 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 you can. I'm on the web. I have an oldfashioned.com, and it's santakringle.com. You can also contact me, email santa@santakringle.com, on the Facebook at uh, on the Facebook at
We're getting old, folks, so we
Yeah,
forget
right?
this time.
Santa Kringle visits.
yeah, Santa Kringle visits on Facebook, TikTok. And I just saw a question pop up, so that kind of threw me off. I didn't know.
We can't.
I saw he was reading it.
We
And I saw
can't do more than one thing at once. You know why? I don't even know how to pull the questions up. I gotta. Danny's not here. Danny's my own. I'm reaching.
But to answer Hub's question, yeah, yes, I do. We're working on. We do free Santa seminars, myself, and two other very successful Santas, Jack Lopez and Dutch Trap, who is the Macy's Santa. We do free seminars, and we're going to be doing online stuff. But you could always hit me up. Any advice, anything I can help you with, I will get you started on your journeys, my friends.
And Hub, thanks for listening every month. We do appreciate that. Hub's a regular listener of the program. We got about 10 minutes left here. I know Bay's got a busy schedule here on his network. I just, for my edification, we got to talk a little bit about the history of how you guys started LAW, because I don't personally know the story. So Liberty All-Star Wrestling, been around a long time in its current form. We do a lot of charity events in the Delaware Valley area, and we support different causes. And you can hear Frank and Bay have been doing this for years in the wrestling side of this, about again, our hashtag humans over houses, doing good by other people. So who wants to, as you see, Bay, we're going to get into Bay and Chubby Dudley and ECW one month, but tell us how the LAW became an entity.
Oh, that's easy. We just decided one day that we were tired of the politics of the business as usual. So we sat down with our late friend Larry Reed.
God bless him. It was his birthday, I think, yesterday. I saw it on there.
Yeah.
And the three of us figured out a new way to promote. As a matter of fact, a lot of the things you see today can directly be attributed to LAW, because no one figured out what we did. And with the help of another late great friend of ours, Dennis Caraluzzo, we started up Law. We started a new way. We figured out a way for guys like us who didn't have a lot of money to promote and get it done. And that's how we started the ball rolling. And I'll be honest, a lot of places, the indies were dying, and because of what I truly feel, because of what we did, is why you've seen so many people pop up and try to run. Unfortunately, sometimes that's a bad thing, because we cared about our product, and we cared about the quality of our product, and we cared about our wrestlers.
What about the and I think you guys ran these shows, the old Alpine Inn shows. The shows for the juvenile diabetes. I know Mike Brandizio was involved in that.
Yeah.
And then Glenn Osborne, who I went to school with, I used to go to those shows, and they were geared towards different charities and special needs groups. And I just, at the time, you didn't see a lot of that. And I thought, wow, this is really special.
And actually, the reason we got that show is because the gentleman had talked to Bay and I, and they were going to work with another wrestling promotion. When they told us what they were being charged and what was going on, we're like, oh, no, you're being robbed. And they like, really? I was like, yeah, they're taking advantage of you, because we truly just wanted to help them. We didn't care if we made dime one from that show. We just wanted to help these guys, because these children needed help, and we didn't care about making money. So we literally, in one meeting, cut the show cost in half, and I think we ran a 10 times better show than what they were going to get with a lot better people, and that's how that got started.
That was something too that was really truly eye-opening, and like Frank just said, like when we would go sit down with these organizations and charities to talk with them about doing fundraisers, how other promoters and promotions that were doing the same thing, the prices they were trying. I mean, these are charities, and a lot of these charities were for children that are with disabilities and stuff like that, and they're trying to charge them like $7,000 to $10,000,
and they didn't care if they made money.
Yeah, I mean, they were making it possible for these organizations to even break even, let alone make money.
Yes.
And me and Frank were like, what the hell? And we literally sat down, and we would sit down with them with the numbers and say, look, this is what this is going to cost. This is what this is going to cost. And here's the grand total. And we would come in like, under 50, sometimes 60% cheaper than what other federations were trying to offer. I mean, it was really sickening and disgusting what was going on, and I'm sure it still goes on. But
and Frank, me and you saw that as well when you relaunched, and we met with people.
That's the whole reason Liberty was relaunched.
Right. So we had an issue at an event that we had up at my church up here, and Frank came to me and said, "Look, you see how that's who Frank is, right, folks? We talk about the people that we associate with, and that's who Frank is." He came to me and he said, "Look, I think we should relaunch Liberty. You do want to help me, and I think we need to relaunch for that reason because we saw a need. These charity organizations wanted something different that we could bring into professional wrestling shows, and we relaunched Liberty. But when we used to go and sit with them, Frank would bring his crazy briefcase, and when we went and sat with people, we actually listened. And Frank said, "Okay, what do you need out of this from an organization standpoint? What's the who are we representing here? And let's see what we can do and crunch the numbers and kind of make it work for everybody and have a fun environment and bring a new kind of fundraiser to the table." The two of you, different personalities. We always talk about this in real estate. The commonality of how and why you two got together and did business together.
You know what? We're brothers.
It's a funny story the way we met. We had a mutual friend. And we ended up our mutual friend. Our mutual friend were going to a Motley Crue concert. We ended up with an extra ticket, and Frank ends up being the extra ticket. And it was a day. I think it was like in 1990 that a true brotherhood was formed and bonded. And then over the next few months of getting to know each other and learning, we learned like we had the love of wrestling together and comic books and all these other things. But go ahead. I know what you're saying.
You're leaving out the word, the most important part of the story. I had met Bay. Well, Bay didn't know that I had met him about 6 months earlier. Because, and this is a funny story to me because it just shows you that, you know what, trust your heart. An acquaintance of Bay was trying to, an ex-acquaintance, I should say, am I correct?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Tried to convince me to protect them from Bay and to, as a kid, come scare this guy and beat him up. So I was like, oh, if this guy's giving you a hard time, yeah. So I drove up there and I saw Bay and I was like, he looks like a big teddy bear. No. Here's
what I want to know about that concert. Bay, did Frank have one of those old style Motley Crue t-shirts on, or
he had I don't think he had a t-shirt, but he had a little mullet going on. But even funnier was
the car.
Frank drove. I think it was like an old Ford LTD or something like that.
I could see him in
St. Regis.
All right, St. Regis. So we're driving over the Platte Bridge, and it starts pouring rain. And all of a sudden, I see Frank reaches his hand out the window with a coat hanger on his windshield wipers and starts going like this. His windshield wipers didn't work. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, my wipers don't work. This is how I have to do it. I was sitting in the back seat. I'm like, I'm going to die on the Platte Bridge.
That's going to be his next invention, manual windshield wipers.
I did invent it.
He did.
This is what we talk about with, the people I associate with. And, part of the reason we did this podcast is that, get to know, kind of a little bit more about us, who we're associated with, our backgrounds and stuff, and just get to know me. So if you're looking to hire a real estate professional, you got a little bit of an understanding of who I am and who the people I associate with, and how we, just like Frank, how we approach our business. And I'll mention this, and then I'll let you guys go on. Frank was talking about the money side, and I was just talking to an agent, and when you talk about the money first, I'm like, Frank, that's a turnoff for us. It's about once we help the people and we place them in a house and we make sure everybody's fully satisfied. The end goal is for us to make our money, but not nearly from the beginning. And that's why, I wanted to have Frank part of this program tonight to speak. And you know what? None of this is rehearsed. Frank, you notice this is from the heart. Every time, we don't script anything. I take a couple of notes from the real estate perspective, but we don't script anything. And we get to the true crux of why we do this podcast and who we are. So go ahead, Frank.
Well, I don't know how much time we got left, but I did promise you guys I had a
huge announcement. Yes.
But literally an hour before we came on, I inked another announcement.
Let's go, Frank. We got 5 minutes left in this program, and you are going to take us home with some huge announcements from Santa Kringle.
So the first announcement is there's going to be a book written on my life. I had met with a gentleman at one of the conventions by the name of Bruce Poker, and he is a documentarian. And we were just talking in line, and he thought, for everything from my childhood to being a wrestler, my failed attempt at being a bounty hunter, to
your failed attempt at being a referee,
locking Dan Pizzi in the car after I had passed gas. That's one of the stories I told him. And he just, like, from going from that to Santa, the guy thought it was great. He says, I need you to come talk to me. And him and a gentleman, they had me come visit them in an office, and they just said, just start telling us your story. We're not going to interrupt you. Just start from the beginning. And then when I was done, they both looked at me and said, here's how we do this. We get people to tell us their stories. If we don't stop you, you kept our interest. You kept our interest through the whole thing, your passion, your everything. So the working title of the book is Santa Can't Dropkick.
This is awesome.
And it is the life of myself. I'm learning a lot about the entertainment industry right now. I'm dealing with trademark lawyers. That's a lot of work because we are trademarking some things. And literally before we came online, I just inked a deal with the company to write I'm going to be the author, and I'm going to write my first children's book.
This is great.
Called, and the name means a lot to me because it was my mother's nickname, Biggie the Monster Elf.
That was great.
And it is basically a story about acceptance and how, and again, I'm gearing this towards children, how you can be whatever you want to be no matter what. And I'm writing the entire story. We are working on finding an illustrator right now. And then we're going to shop it around. The same thing with the other book. I have basically, and I've also, something else going on is I've been approached by a sports agent to represent me. So we are, we're talking about some big things. The big thing that I've told everyone is I can't give up me, yes, I would love to be worldwide, but if it means I can't visit the hospitals or I can't do that, then you know what? Then it's not. That's not for me. So big things are happening, but I'm not going to get too big to fit down that chimney on Christmas Eve.
This is tremendous. The show is always better than I think it's going to be heading into the show, Bay.
I mean,
he just put you over big time, Santa.
I'm telling you,
it's. I'll tell you, I'm amazed because I like when the guys when Mr. Poker said, your whole story is interesting. I'm like, really? You listen to it, right? He goes, no, you don't get it. There's something there. And I was like, well, if you say so. I mean, you've made the documentary. You're in charge, brother. I'm gonna. And then I pitched my idea about like, yeah, I want to do a whole line. Oh, and with Biggie, the Monster Elf is going to be a toy line. And I delved.
We knew you would be interested in that part.
And I delved into toys last year. There he is.
That. That's so awesome.
They sold out last year, so we gotta get a new batch on, and everyone went nuts over that. So, I wanted to also do a toy where we're shopping the idea around for when the book comes out, and we're trying to figure out which charity is going to get a portion of the book once it's published. And I mean, look, someone can hand me $10. I may not need that whole $10. Somebody else may. So you know what? Whenever you do something, and I think All-Star, I'm not a star, but I think big stars should do this. You only need so much to get through this life. So whatever you don't need, why don't you give it back to somebody?
My father used to say, absolutely. I'll promise you something when you move this along. I know somebody that runs a podcast, and I can get you a spot to promote this on his podcast.
That would be wonderful. Like I said, we're going to shop around once I complete the story. I don't know how long it's going to take me because I'm not a writer, but I am. I'm one of them people that like nothing I ever do is good enough. So I'll probably do like 650 rewrites.
Tell my son that he needs to hear that. That's him. Nothing has to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, I just want everybody to have a good time, and I'm really excited. Like I said, I was excited about the book about my life, but now the fact that I get to put what's up here on paper and create a character that, to me, I hope he becomes the next Elf on the Shelf.
That's terrific. Well, that's a perfect ending to this month's program. Again, NextHomeBrandywine.com for all your real estate needs. Frank always is kind enough to refer people to us as well. You see why we wanted Frank on the program this month to tell his story. I listen to Glenn and Ray, and they have that Tell Us Your Story segment. And that's why we wanted to get Frank on, and just, we bumped him. So I owe him $2 and a trip to Dino's. And let's speak real quick. I know Bay's got to go. Dino's wife has been sick. Dino's Pizza in Briarcliff. I know Dino's wife has been ill. How is that situation, Frank?
She's a fighter. She's fighting it, and I stopped in there and I talked to Dino, and they're getting a lot of support from the community. So
if you haven't seen our commercial, go on LAW Wrestling's Facebook page and see the commercial we shot for Dino's a while back, and it was a lot of fun. But Dino's is special people there in Briarcliff. They own a pizza shop there. It's second generation.
Great people. They always donate it to the Liberty shows.
Yes, sir.
And any charity. I mean, I've seen people just walk in off the street with a charity, and he doesn't even hesitate to whip out that checkbook. So,
again, another great person. Off air, we're going to talk about Briarcliff Fire Company and what went down there. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but they are not operational at this point. Does that mean I have to retire my Briarcliff sweatshirt? I don't know, but that's something I want to talk to Frank about off air. Bay, again, I can't thank you enough for doing this and being part of this program on a monthly basis. Yeah,
I want to do it more. It's I have a ball doing this.
I can't afford it. It costs me a lot of money to be on this. Listen, again, Frank, I love you, buddy. I thank you for coming on this program.
My pleasure.
It meant a lot to us. And Bay and I will see you in May. Christina Middleton's coming on the program in May, our newest agent, to tell her story. And we are going to circle back with Frank just before the season kicks off, the holiday season kicks off, and kind of get some updates on this stuff. So we will, Bay, you're going to sign us off, and we're going to see you guys next month.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Santa. And especially don't forget to, remember, NextHomeBrandywine.com. And if you want to get a hold of Dan, you can just shoot him an email too. nhbdtown@gmail.com. And thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next month.
Thanks again. Thanks, guys.